I was thinking for a long time how to start this video because it needs to be concise and compendious, but I also want it to be very, very comprehensive. And I guess the best place to start is at the beginning. There's been many different versions of my life story which have been put on the internet as of late and from many years ago. But I'm going to give a very, very quick overview of my story. My life has always been difficult. I've certainly had a difficult life. I preach to the people who follow me that as a man, trauma and difficulty is extremely important because it's the building blocks for mental fortitude and physical fortitude. So I'm very, very happy that my life has been difficult because it's impossible to become a capable man or a man of my capability without struggling with facing serious adversities, without trying to overcome often insurmountable odds. I grew up in south side of Chicago. I'm obviously a person of color. I was bullied in school to a degree, and my father always taught me to stick up for myself. I was never allowed to run and cry to authority. I was told that if someone wants to mess with you or come at you, you can't always go tell the teacher. Sometimes you have to deal with it. I was actually picked on by these two kids when I was riding the school bus home. I think I was around 5 and they were around 7. They were a bit older than me, and they used to pick on me on the school bus. They'd sit behind me, throw things at me, hit me, etc. And I came home and I told my dad about it. I said, "Dad, these 2 kids are picking on me every single time I get the school bus. I don't know what to do." And my dad said, "I'm not going to call the teacher because the teacher ain't on the bus. And I'm not going to call the school bus driver because they're busy driving. Son, if you want to deal with this, you're going to have to deal with it yourself." And I said, "But Dad, they're bigger than me. What do you want me to do? There's 2 of them and they're bigger than me." And at the time, I'd just come home from school and I was holding a lunchbox. And my dad pointed and said, "You have a lunchbox, son? Teach them." So weeks had passed. It was a few weeks. They kept picking on me, and I felt myself sitting there getting more insecure, and the rage was boiling inside of me. And one day, one of them slapped me in the side of the face from behind. I was sitting on the chair. He slapped me in the face from behind. And instantly, I don't know what it was, but this was the day I had enough, and I turned with my lunchbox and swung it over the back of the school bus chair and caught him and busted his eye clean open. The plastic Batman lunchbox hit him in the eye, and blood started squirting everywhere. All the children started screaming. And as I did this, the bus had just come up to a stop. It was a few stops before my stop, but it had stopped. And as the bus stopped and the screaming happened, I just got up and I just ran off the bus and ran home. I've never run so fast or so far in my life. I was full of adrenaline. I just ran. When I got home, I had blood on my clothes, and my dad looked at me. He said, "What happened?" And I said, "That kid," I won't say his name. I said his name at the time. I said, "That kid, he hit me in the face, and I had enough of getting hit in the face." And I was still holding the lunchbox, but it was all smashed up where I'd hit him with it. And my dad kind of smiled a little bit and said, "Don't worry, son. Get in the car." We got in the car and we went to Walmart. We walked up and down the aisle, and he looked and picked up another lunchbox, an exact replica of the same blue Batman lunchbox, gave it to me and said, "I'll buy you as many of these as you need." And that was the last we spoke of it. Funnily enough, I never saw that kid again. I don't know if he changed schools. I don't know what his parents did, but I never saw that child again. So even from a very, very young age, I was taught that going to authority and crying and hoping someone else is going to fix your problems is not the way a man should conduct himself. When I left Chicago, I moved to Luton, England, which was multiple times voted the worst town in England. It's a high crime rate. It's a very bad area. My mother and father broke up, so I was in a single mother household. And now I'm a person of color in a single mother household. I'm also the only American at the time in Luton. And I had, again, repeat problems in school. I was picked on for being the only American. I was picked on for not knowing things I should have known because I hadn't been through the English educational system. I'd been through the American educational system. And I had trouble in school again, but I stuck up for myself. Unfortunately, nothing got violent at any point. But when people made fun of me, I stood up and said, "Listen, don't make fun of me. I'm from a different place and I talk differently." And I always understood that standing up for yourself, I never went to the teacher, I never cried to anybody else. I just stood up for myself. And over time, people learned respect for me and my boundaries, and they were very respectful of me. And I had a very positive experience from then on out in school by simply standing up for myself, because this is how I was taught to act. In high school, I ended up having a reputation of a guy that nobody really messed with. I certainly wasn't a bully, absolutely the opposite, but no one really picked on me. I actually had a friend in school who was gay. I had 5 main friends in school, and I was also friends with a gay guy. And he would make fun of me for being American, and I would make fun of him for being gay back then. But the world was a very, very different place. This is many, many years ago. And we had friendly banter back and forth, but we were very good friends, and I stuck up for him and prevented anyone else picking on him all of the time. And the banter between us, the locker room talk, which would be considered absolutely unacceptable today, at the time was very, very normal. And we had a great time. We were good friends. And I heard from him, actually, after this ban. And he said, you should mention the fact that the things they say about you completely aren't true. And this leads me on to the reason I believe these narratives have managed to gain such a foothold in popular consciousness. Due to the fact I've managed to develop an iron mind, because I'm probably the only individual on earth who can be vilified to this level without taking personal insult and without being emotionally affected, what I've done is I've allowed certain narratives to gain traction, which I shouldn't have allowed to gain traction, because they didn't personally bother me, because I know they are false. I live with a very, very pure heart. I'm a religious man. I go to church, and anyone who follows me in detail knows I donate huge sums of money to the church. And as long as I knew the truth of my heart and God knew the truth of my heart, I wasn't interested in lies being purported. I now understand that that's wrong, because even though I've done nothing wrong, even though it doesn't emotionally affect me, even though God and myself know my innocence, the public consciousness has been polluted to a point where narratives are being purported which are absolutely and utterly false. And it's having a genuine negative impact on the people who I care about and the people who care about me. And despite the fact it doesn't emotionally affect me, as a man, I have a duty to protect all of those I love. And for this reason, these narratives have started to become very, very harmful. I was under understanding that on the internet, people don't like you. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you say. There's going to be some people who don't like you, and the people who don't like you are not interested in the truth. What they are interested in is finding some lie that they can latch onto and accelerating that lie on as much as possible via their platforms to try and paint a negative picture of you because they don't like you. A lot of these attacks against me are disguised under the virtue of caring about women. But none of these people who are attacking me care about women. None of them donate to women's charities. None of them donate to charity like I do. None of them help anybody like I do. I'm about to show, later on in this video, proof of the massive work I do for helping people. They don't help anybody. All they do is just attack me and use fake virtue, the fact they pretend to care, as a reason to attack somebody who they personally don't like. And it's very, very different to actually care about an issue or weaponize an issue and pretend to care to try and damage someone else's life. These are very, very different things. And this is the reason why I have not tried to dispel these myths as hard as I could have, because I understood that these people are always going to hate me and they're always going to lie about me, no matter what I say or do. But considering in light of the final ban, and considering I have the public consciousness, I think it's extremely important that for myself and for my family and for people I care about, that I tell the truth and I make the truth known to the world, because that is the only intention in my video, is to sit and tell the truth. And the fact that I'm a very, very iron-minded individual who is not negatively affected by these smear campaigns is not reason enough for me not to sit, take time, and dispel all the negative things which are said about me. I am fully aware that not everybody is going to agree with what I say. I don't think there's a person on the planet you can find who has a 100% approval rate. There's always going to be somebody who disagrees with what you say. If I said the earth was round, there would be a contingent of individuals on the planet who disagree with me. I have no problem with people disagreeing with me. I have no problem with being seen as controversial for some of the things I've said. However, I do have two significant problems I would like to address. The first is I do not like absolute and utter lies being told about me. I do not like having long-form video of me cut up, elements taken out of context, the tonality of the joke removed, and purporting an image of me that is not true. That's something I do not like. I do not like false accusations of criminal activity. That's another thing that I really do not like. I am totally aware that not everybody is going to like me. I have no problems with that. I think anyone who decides to get big on the internet needs to be very, very prepared for a contingent of people to not be happy with what they say. I could make a YouTube channel dedicated to the fact that I believe the world is round, and there would be a large or semi-large proportion of people who would disagree with me. I don't think there's a single creator online that has a 100% approval rate. I have a lot of people who love what I say. I have a lot of fans. A lot of people are dedicated to my channel, and I have a lot of positivity online. And I have a small contingent of people who are very, very offended by what I say. We often talk about, in the modern world, the inclusivity of different cultures, different ways of life, different sexual orientations, and how we need to be tolerant and understanding of all these different people's life paths, and by extension, their different ways of viewing the world. I'm a unique individual, as is everybody else, and I have a unique life path that has led me to unique points of view. I think that all of the people who disagree with me are very, very welcome to disagree with me because they have had a unique life path and a different point of view, and I respect that absolutely. I would never shout for any of the people who disagree with anything I say to be silenced or canceled, because I don't think that helps the world. I think that discourse is always going to be the way that we lead ourselves to the truth. And if anybody has anything contrary to say about any of my points of view, I welcome it. I like to hear it. And as long as it's in a respectful and adult manner, I often platform it on my platforms as much as possible so I can sit and discuss and I can learn things. Because if I have a point of view and someone challenges it in a very adult, correct, logical way, very often I have changed my point of view. And this is really, really good for me as a person to grow and for the audience to grow. And I know I've changed many other people's minds when they've come to debate with me. And this is the beauty of being human. So I have no problem with being disliked. I do have a problem with a few things. I have a problem with long format things I've said being taken out of context, taking a small clip from a 2-hour piece of video, then with careful editing, removing of tonality, and changing my intention behind the words, painting me to be a criminal or a bad person when I am not. I do have a problem with false criminal accusations when I do not have a criminal record, and I have never had a criminal record in any country on the planet. I do have a problem with this. And also I have a problem with the fact that social media has changed so much in modern times. A lot of the things I said that are being used against me were said 5 or 6 years ago in long format video. And as of late, with TikTok, with YouTube Shorts, with Instagram Reels, it's very, very easy to take 2 hours of video, snip out 10 seconds, edit it up quickly on a phone app, and then blow it up to millions and millions of views with all context removed, all tonality removed, and makes it look like I'm saying things I did not say or I mean things I did not mean. And this is something that I can't control. I became the most Googled man on the planet, and to a degree I'm a victim of my own success because now people are trying to find any little clip of anything I've ever said, remove all the tonality, and just blow it up to try and get views to be as controversial as possible. I understand why they're doing that. They're doing that because they want the views for themselves, but they're not taking into consideration how that affects me and my personal image as a whole. And I think the things I've just highlighted has now culminated in the media believing something about me which is so pertinently false, based on videos that I have never even made, purported and accelerated and advertised by people who I don't even know, with such a small piece of video from me, with all context removed, that I've now become the #1 villain of Earth, and I truly believe that's unjust. And I want to discuss that here and prove to the world in my final message that I am not any of the things I've been accused of. Regardless of whether I am banned, reinstated, remain on social media, is completely beside the point. This is just a matter of clearing the air while I have the national consciousness. I was massively a victim of my own success. I decided to accelerate my public persona and presence about 6 months ago. And I was massively successful. I became the most Googled man on the planet. I am, by the metrics of the internet, the most famous individual who is currently alive in the world today. That comes with a bunch of advantages and disadvantages. We can go into those at depth. The disadvantages are safety aspects, safety concerns, which we're going to talk about a bit later. I've had serious threats on my life. I receive over 5,000 death threats per day. So do people who I love and people I care about. They also receive death threats. The social media companies have yet to take any action against this. They were uninterested in trying to police this in any form. The advantages are, of course, is that I have a massive effect on people. And I have had thousands of emails from men saying, "You've saved me from depression. You've saved me from suicide. You helped me so much." The #1 video on my YouTube channel, my pinned video, has been for over a year. Mind hacks, how to beat depression, how to feel better as a man.
Sitting there believing that depression is some monster from the sky that strikes your brain and now you have no control over it and you must take pills every day is the absolute enemy to a G mindset. I don't give a fuck how depressing my situation. The only person who can change it is me. The only person who can change how I feel about my situation or try and affect the situation directly is me. Even if you put me in a situation I can't change, if you put me in jail and I'm depressed because I'm in jail, I still refuse to succumb to depression. I refuse to collapse mentally and give up. I know the only person who can control my mind is me. Nobody's coming to save me.
As a man who's been through such a difficult life, I think I have a very intimate understanding of difficulty and how to grow as a man and how to become the kind of man that can handle a difficult life, because this has been my life path. This is what God chose for me. And this is what I've been teaching. And I have affected positively millions of people, and I'm immensely proud of that. I truly am. However, people couldn't stop talking about me. And when people were talking about me, they weren't doing it out of love for me. They weren't doing it because they cared about me. The main reason people were talking about me so extensively is because they cared about their own channels, their own views. They wanted their own clicks. And they understood that if they can make a YouTube video purporting a lie about me or saying bad things about me, it's more likely to get clicked. It's more likely to get watched. It's more likely to get shared. Expose, Andrew Tate is this. Expose, Andrew Tate is that. And what's happened is people, through their own selfish desires of trying to piggyback off the back of my massive fame and becoming the most famous man on the planet, have decided that making a bunch of negative videos is a fantastic way for them to personally gain clout and personally gain views and clicks, which is what the internet is about. And we ended up in a situation where videos of me from long ago are being taken out of context purposefully to try and purport a narrative which is not true, because people understand that's a very easy way for them to gain some clout and leech off of my success. That's all fine. Like I said, I have no problem with people disagreeing with me, being disliked, etc. However, when it has an effect to this magnitude, where I am genuinely seen as a negative, bad influence on the world, when all of the emails I receive from people who watch me are positive, saying that I'm helping people, how I've helped their mind, I've cured their depression, it's really strange to experience such a disconnect. To have 98% of the people who email you say how fantastic you are and how much you helped them, and then 2% of unknowns threatening your life. And then everyone I meet on the street saying such amazing things. Since I've become the most famous man on the planet, I have never once had a negative experience in real life. Everybody who meets me is very respectful, a fan, we take pictures, we shake hands. Nobody has screamed at me in public. Nobody's come up to me and called me names in public. Nobody said I'm wrong. I've been to over 20 countries. I've never had a single negative in-person experience ever. So the people love me. At the same time, the media is saying I'm hated. It's a very strange disconnect that I've been experiencing. And a lot of that has been purported and accelerated by the fact that people are trying to gain views on their own channels, separate to me, nothing to do with me, by accelerating lies. It's also An interesting case study into internet mass hysteria, right? If 50 videos come out saying Tate's a bad guy, it takes a lot of bravery for someone to come out and say Tate's not a bad guy. Despite the evidence, I can show evidence to the contrary of these negative narratives for the end of time. But if somebody can see, if a YouTube creator or a content creator can see, if you make a negative video about Tate, you get a bunch of clicks, and everyone else did it, well then I may as well do it. They don't sit there and go, what about Andrew? What about the truth of this? What about the effect on his life? What about the effect on his experience of the world? That doesn't come into consideration. What comes into consideration is everyone else did this and got a bunch of views. I want a bunch of views. And even though what they're saying is false, even though some of them know it's false, some of them may not, but the ones who are well researched know it's a lie, it's very, very tempting for them to sit there and do it anyway because there's no repercussion. There's no downside to them. All that's going to happen is they're going to get a bunch of clicks, a bunch of views, a bunch of comments, a lot of people defending me because they know it's not true, a lot of people agreeing with them who are less researched. They're going to completely benefit, and the only person who's going to suffer is me. And because I have an iron mind and I wasn't emotionally affected by this, and I understood the nature of the internet, I didn't try to combat it too hard. I didn't know exactly what I should do because I had already told the truth on repeat many, many, many times, but nobody would acknowledge it. They would just ignore it because it got more clicks to purport the lies. So I thought, that's the nature of the internet. I've never been this famous before. I guess that's just how it goes. Unfortunately, now public consciousness via the media has genuinely bought into a construct where people believe I'm somehow dangerous when all I have done is save people from depression. We talk about men's mental health. Patty Pimblett just fought and talk about if you have trouble with men's mental health, come forward.
As I said, women talk to each other. There's no stigma on women. They sit around and have a cup of tea and have a jangle.
True that.
Men don't, lad. Men feel like, oh, I can't go and say that to him because he'll think I'm a little mushroom. You know what I mean? That's what men think. But as I said in the cage, I'd much rather my friend come to me and speak to me and cry on my shoulder than me have to cry when I'm carrying his coffin a week later.
I just wanted to show the world that if mental health could bring somebody as big as me and as strong as me and, you know, the stereotype heavyweight champion of the world to my knees, then it could bring anybody to the knees.
Tyson Fury talk about it. I talk about it. Everyone tries to talk about it. And everyone says, men, you should talk more, talk to us. I try and encourage men to be strong. I say, listen, if you're depressed, you need to get in the gym. A strong body is a strong mind. I sit there and by using my lifestyle, which is an aspirational lifestyle that most men would love to have, purely because of the finance, the cars, the freedom, etc., I encourage people to work hard and try their best to become the best version of themselves. And men are encouraged to talk and open up, but when I talk and open up and get massive influence and start helping people, they're going to silence me. I have been nothing but a net positive for the world. That's truly how I view myself, and that's absolutely and utterly the truth. However, I am very understanding of a changing social media landscape, and I'm also very, very understanding of my fame changing. And by extension, I have some responsibility to bear. I am a man who believes that he is responsible for everything. I think as a man, you should take complete responsibility for your entire reality. It doesn't matter if I'm struck by lightning. That is my fault. That's who I am as an individual, and it's been one of my keys to success, to never blame luck, never blame anybody else, to only blame myself. So despite everything I've just said, I still blame myself. And because my rise has been so meteoric, because I've become so famous so quickly, and because I've been producing content for so long, even though I take absolute responsibility, I'm in a difficult scenario where videos that were made 5 or 6 years ago in long form are now being cut into 5 seconds, accelerated and purported now in line with my new line fame. I can't stop that happening. But I also understand I have a degree of responsibility, right? Because I'm the most influential person on the planet. So my responsibility is to make sure that any kind of negative connotations in my messaging are removed. I want to stick to my message. I don't want to backtrack. I still want to champion men's issues. I still want to champion physical and mental strength. I still want to champion the protection of women. I still want to do that. However, I must be ultra aware of how I do that, because it would be unprofessional of me as a man to sit and say that my messaging does not have to change in line with my fame. The way you can say things in a video that gets 500 views is very different than the way you can say things in a video that gets 500 million views or 50 million views. You have to change your messaging. The more people you reach, the more important it is that people do not take your things out of context, right? If 0.1% of people misunderstand you on a 500-person video, that will not have a large effect on the world. But if 0.1% of people misunderstand you on a video that has 50 million views, now you start to affect the world in a negative way. So I have to be very, very, very careful in line with my newfound fame. And it's difficult because in the world I'm in, if I sit down and do a 3-hour podcast, it's my job to be entertaining. And I want to give exciting answers and interesting insights. I think the reason people follow me is because I have a very firm understanding of the English language, a very good grasp of the way to construct sentences, how to be motivating, how to be compelling. And I do that on purpose. But it's also very difficult for me, regardless of my intellect, to now sit at a podcast, be interesting, be exciting, give a compendious and concise answer, at the same time, be wary that in my 1-minute answer, at any point, 6 seconds worth of it can be taken, snipped, used against me, and weaponized. I don't know if my mind can handle all those tasks at once. It's not very often I'm stumped, but that is becoming extremely difficult. And I'm sitting here thinking I've been offered massive podcast requests by the biggest podcasts in the world. And I'm thinking, how can I answer questions? How can I be a responsible adult, because that's what I am. How can I be a professional, take responsibility for my level of fame to make sure that nothing can be taken out of context, but still tell my truth and still answer the questions, but construct my sentences in a way where they can't be misrepresented at all. And it's hard because I think any content creator who was suffering from what I've suffered from, if any content creator got as large as I was, and there was as many people cutting up their videos as they were mine, and those people had a negative agenda, we could make Mickey Mouse look evil. You could make anyone look bad. I'm not saying I haven't given them ammo. Of course, there's been the odd clip that made it easy for them. I'm saying if their intentions were to be as provocative and negative as possible, it can be done to anybody. And that's why now I need to take a break from all the podcasts I've been invited on, especially since I've been banned. I've been invited on the largest platforms in the world. I've had 100,000 emails of support. All the media channels want to talk to me. And I'm sitting here thinking, I need to make sure I'm not misunderstood. And I have to really be careful about how I do that while not backing down on my messaging, while still championing the things I champion, still believing in myself, but making sure I'm not misunderstood. And although I think on the internet I am one of the most respected oratists that exist, I now need to once again improve myself and improve my skills and prevent anybody being able to take me out of context. I might have to form a new way for sentences to be constructed. But if that's what it takes, that's what I intend to do. Because with great influence comes absolutely and utterly great responsibility. And I do understand that. And I will blame myself for the fact that people have managed to do this to me, regardless of the fact that I did not want it to happen. So let me give a quick example of this. Before I continue, I want to say that I often speak to the absolute beauty of women. I have a very healthy relationship with my mother. I have women around me who truly and utterly love me. I have very healthy relationships with females. I have no criminal charges for crimes against females. Nobody has come forward and accused me of sexual misconduct. Please understand, we'll go into the Romanian house raid shortly. But most people in my position of fame have had women come forward and say he raped me. I'm the most famous man on the planet. There's not a single female whose face you can name or whose face you can picture that's come forward and said I've raped her. Not a single female has come forward saying I've hurt her. Not one. There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends.
Listen, hey, stupid bitch. I didn't say the word listen. Did I say listen?
Hello everyone, I just wanted to say something about the video that's been released recently about me and my ex-boyfriend Andrew Tate. Andrew is my still great friend. What you guys saw in the video, it's just what we used to do. It was just pure game. He's a great guy. He would never hurt anyone unless he's fighting.
The left understand that kink shaming is a negative thing. from my understanding. She has come forward and said that it was all just a game. And still that video is being used and sent around the internet saying I'm a woman beater. If I said it was a game and she said it was a game, who are other people to then comment on our lives, our private lives, which got leaked, and tell us it's not a game? It was between two consenting adults, and we decided to do something ourselves, and we both agreed it was fine, and she has not come forward trying to accuse me of anything. So who are others to do that? That's just kink shaming, which that's all it is. So no women are accusing me of anything. No women are accusing me of misconduct. I champion women all the time. I say about how they should be protected, how beautiful they are, how much I love my grandmother because of the amount of children she had.
My grandmother had 9 children because there was my father and 8 more. They all had a bunch of kids, blah, blah, blah. I stood there and I looked at my 93-year-old grandmother, and there was a room, a whole room full with maybe 70 people that came from that one woman. Isn't that remarkable? Yeah. That nobody cared about her career. Nobody asked what job she did. Nobody asked how many times she went to the club. Nobody asked if she had time to go to festivals. No, you had 70 sentient beings, including myself, full of life from one woman who dedicated herself to being a mother and a good wife. That is beautiful.
I talk about how women are unique and special and they can do things that men can't do. And still these clips are taken out of context. Let me give you an example.
I absolutely not really love women. I have nothing against women. I believe women are the most precious things on the planet. They create life. They should be protected. They should be provided for. I would never let a woman pay for a bill. I would never let a woman, if someone touched any of my women, I would stand up against 10 men by myself and risk my life to protect her. I believe that women are beautiful creatures. I just don't think that they're as emotionally calm as men in stressful situations. I don't think they can fight like a man can. And for the same reason, I would never drop my children in an all-male nursery. I think that's strange and weird. I would only drop them in an all-female nursery. Women do certain things and men do certain things.
Now, I believe everything I said. I believe in protecting women. I believe in championing women. I believe in making sure that women are provided for. However, that video was made when I was far less famous. In light of the things I just said to you earlier in this video, I understand that now, as my fame grows, even though to me my message is very clear, a man has certain roles in society, a woman has certain roles in society, and when we work as a team, when we love each other, society is better as a whole. I think that these views are not very controversial at all. I think they were mainstream only a few years ago. I don't think that they're controversial. Most of the people I meet in the world don't think they're controversial. The women I hang around with don't think they're controversial. Nobody on the street I've ever met thinks they're controversial. Everybody agrees with me. However, the way I'm saying it, the way I'm getting the message across, because I'm trying to be as energetic as possible, I understand that a small, tiny percentage of people might misunderstand me. And that didn't matter when I didn't have any views. I didn't have any followers. But now I'm the most famous man in the world. I have to be a lot more careful with how I say it. But what's really worrying is this. That clip, I would like to think, even my biggest haters can agree, is a clip that is positive about women as a whole. Perhaps you may not like my tonality or the way I structured certain sentences, but as a whole, I'm saying positive things about women. At one point during that speech, I said women do certain things and men do certain things. That clip has been taken, that cut of my language, men do certain things, women do certain things. Somebody, I have no idea who, has made a TikTok where it says men do certain things, and it shows videos of me driving around in cars, spending money, and women do certain things, and it shows women cleaning.
Women do certain things, and men do certain things.
Somebody off their own back, somebody else has made that video. I didn't tell them to, I don't know who they are, I don't know what their account is, it's just viral on the internet somewhere. And now I look like I'm saying women should only clean and men should only run around with cars and women and money. I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I said that women should be protected and provided for. But because a small clip was taken out of context and used against me and weaponized, now I look like I've said things I did not say. And no matter how positive my message about women, if the intention is to try and make me look bad, even with a clip like that, they found a way to make me look bad. That's the scary thing. That's why I've titled this video My Final Message, because I don't know, even with my entire brain, I don't know with all of my genius intellect, if I can find a way for nothing to be used against me. It's extremely difficult. One line out of context has made me look bad, and millions of people saw that, and people didn't see the long format video, and they've deduced that I hate women and that women should only clean, when really I was trying to stick up for and protect women and give my true views on women. And this comes full circle to the Instagram ban. I am very understanding of why Instagram felt like it was necessary to ban me. I am not mad at Instagram. I'm a professional, and as a professional, I'm not an emotional person. I do not do emotional responses. Although I believe it's unfair, although I believe I've been unfairly vilified, although I believe it's not the right thing to do because it doesn't allow me to shift the public consciousness in a constructive manner, although I think it would have been better for them to say, Andrew, certain things are being taken out of context. You need to be careful that doesn't happen. A lot of people listen to you, and I could have become a champion for women's rights. I am not emotional. I understand why they did it, because that's a perfect example of how people are desperate to try and make the things I say look worse than they are, and using social media platforms to purport negative views of women. And it doesn't matter if it's a negative view of a woman, negative view of men, negative view of a sexuality. It doesn't matter what it is. It should be stopped. I agree with that. And Instagram or Meta have a responsibility to show that they are listening to the public. They want to show that they are listening. I have some good people on the case, and dialogue with Instagram I would like to open, and will proceed as God sees fit. If God believes that I do not need an Instagram page, then I will not have one. If God believes that I do, then I shall. This is not just about Instagram. This is just me saying to Instagram that I totally understand. I just wanted to make it clear that I didn't want these things to be said. That clip of the cleaning and me being taken out of context has no benefit for me. Everyone dislikes me on the internet. Certain people watch it and know it's not true. The ones who've watched the longer format stuff of my videos and they're fans of mine, fine. So certain people remain neutral because they know it's false. But people who don't then dislike me. My family gets death threats. I get death threats. Hate is spread online. Like, there's no benefit for me. If I could stop that happening, I absolutely would. Which is why I want to adjust my messaging and adjust the way I talk. I don't want that to happen. That doesn't help me. I would love for that to never happen. And Instagram think the way for that to stop happening is to ban me. I agree it should stop happening, but I don't think banning me is the answer. Because there will always be someone else. And there will be a new hate mob and new out of context videos. And this is a problem which is larger than Andrew Tate. This is an internet problem. This is a problem with short format video, short attention spans, nobody looking into anything in detail, things taken out of context. This is a really big problem that the world has to address that goes beyond me. And if I've had to martyr my presence on social media to raise a conversation, which is going to be a net benefit for the world as a whole, then I'm happy with that. I'm happy if people go, you know what, this happened to Andrew Tate, it's now happening to other people. We have to change the way we review censorship, banning, content creation, content proportion, all these things. That's fine, if that's the life path which has been chosen for me. I just want to make it clear that I don't like when that happens. I don't want that to happen myself because I don't gain anything from that. On Instagram, absolutely no rules were broken. My captions were just poetry that I wrote. My pictures were just lifestyle. Car, house, boat. I never broke any rules on Instagram. I never had any strikes. I never done anything wrong on Instagram. The only rule infringements on Instagram were my comment section, where hate mobs inspired by these videos that we've been discussing, these videos which were deliberately taken out of context and deliberately fictional, hate mobs were inspired at the end of YouTube videos to go to my Instagram and insult me. So the only infringements you would find on Instagram is in my comment section, where thousands of people who were sent by random YouTubers who don't like me would come, threaten to kill me, mock my dead father, threaten to kill my brother, threaten to kill my family, threaten to find me. These were the only rule infringements on Instagram. Things written against me by other YouTubers, telling them to go and do it, while all I wrote is poetry. And on repeat, multiple times I said on my stories, if you're going to defend me, do it respectfully. Even if people hate me, even if they're insulting me, don't insult them back. Hate doesn't beat hate. It just creates a brick wall. If somebody says they hate me, explain to them calmly that they don't understand the context. Show them a longer format video. Show them how I stick up for marginalized people. Explain I'm a person of color and I've been marginalized in my childhood. Show them how I had a gay friend when I was a kid. Show them how I stick up for women. Don't just reply saying you're stupid, you don't know the truth. Don't fight hate with hate. I was encouraging all of my followers and all of my fans to be respectful people, even when sticking up for me. Once again, trying to turn negativity into positivity via social media. My Instagram had no infringements. That was the only anti-policy things on the page, things targeted against me. And I didn't really complain to Instagram because I wasn't taught as a person to go complaining to authority. I thought, this is the internet. That's how it works. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. Soon the truth of your heart and your character will come through. Soon people will see the light and they'll change because that's the way the world is. People often flip-flop on issues. This is how things happen. The redemption arc is going to be beautiful. I really, truly believe that within a few years, people are going to understand that I'm a force for good in the world. And often, people say, well, if don't have Tate as a male role model, there's better ones. Where are they? There are no other male role models. Because to inspire the youth of men, you need to be aspirational. They have to look at you and want to be like you. And there's no other male role models that have had the tenacity or the aggressiveness to have such a fantastic life as I have, that they're going to listen to me. They listen to me because of my authority, and my authority comes from my life experiences. If my mentality is so wrong, how have I managed to amass enormous wealth? How have I managed to amass huge social status? How have I managed to physically dominate the planet? I've done things that men respect and they look up to me. So that's why I can lead them. And I understand my messaging should change in light of the fact that I can be taken out of context. But me being alive on the internet will allow me to lead men in a very positive direction. Banning me and deleting me leaves a black hole where they say there'll be another masculine leader. But the men don't listen. The youth of today won't listen to anybody else. That's the reason I'm the most famous man on the planet, because none of these other people have the authority to affect them like I do. It's me or nobody. And I truly believe that me, with reformed messaging, now understanding of my newfound fame, is so much better for the world than nobody. Because nobody just leads to black holes of who knows what, and it can't be controlled. And that's where the internet is truly dangerous. Speaking of Instagram, I was understanding in recent weeks of how these negative fictional stories of me were gaining traction, and I wanted to try very, very hard to counter them. I put a post on Instagram, which you can see here, where I explained that the things I've said have been taken out of context. And just because I champion men's rights does not mean I dislike women. I think that men are underrepresented in the world today. And as people often say, men need to speak up. I'm here speaking for the men. I'm here trying to speak up. People are speaking up because of me. We're raising important issues in the world today because of me. Deleting me and blocking me is only going to hurt men as a whole and increase all the problems we see with the youth of the men today. So I put a post up and I said, listen, people misunderstand me. I'm going to donate money to a female charity that supports women against domestic violence. And I'm also going to donate money to a charity that supports men's mental health. Just because I support men doesn't mean I hate women. I love people. I'm a person full of love, and I want people as a whole to elevate, not just men or women. I promised $1 to each charity for every like. That's $2 per like total, $1 to each charity. At the time of my banning, I had 550,000 likes or something like that, I believe. And if I hear from Instagram, what I would like them to do is to clarify the final likes amount on that post so that I can stick to my word, because that's what I am. I'm a man of my word. I was not doing it purely just to post a receipt on social media. I was doing it because I genuinely believe it's a good thing to do. And I would like Instagram to confirm the final amount of likes on that picture so I can donate the $1.2, $1.3 million that I promised I would donate to both of those charities independently. I would even be happy for Instagram to select the two charities and confirm and verify my donation. I'd be very happy to do that because I said I was going to do that. And I'm a man of my word. I stick to my word. What's interesting to me is when I put that post up, if anybody else had promised to do that, there'd be massive positive attention. But everybody ignored it. Nobody in the media wanted to post about it. None of the YouTubers wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to talk about it because it doesn't get clicks. You only get clicks for hating me. You don't get clicks for telling the truth about me. So nobody's interested in telling the truth. Everybody ignored my charitable donations. If anybody else donated $1.3 million to charity, I'd like to think there'd be some sort of headline. But if I want to do it, nobody cares. And that's very, very unfair. What's also unfair is the people who say that they care about women and they're worried about misogyny and using this to attack me and try and have me deleted from the internet, they don't donate any money to charity. They don't help women. They don't want to do anything but spread hate. Right now, they hate Andrew Tate. When I'm gone, they'll hate someone else. They'll find someone else's comment section to go into, insult, threaten their lives, insult their dead parents, hate, 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 hate. They're not going to donate money to charity. They're not going to help women. They're just going to sit there and hate me until I'm gone and then hate somebody else. This is a hate mob. And they're pretending that they care about women. They don't care about anybody. They're just hateful. And by Instagram allowing the hate mob to be successful, it inspires further hate mobs. It inspires further hate, further division. I understand that Instagram and Meta and Facebook need to, as a whole, keep their fingers on the pulse of the national opinions. I understand that. But once we have confirmed that the national opinion is misunderstood, then we have to sit there and go, do we want to bow to hate mobs, which are accelerating and encouraging people to become more hateful for views and to get people banned via hate? When these people may be actually doing good things to the real issue as a whole, is this a good idea for us to now bow and bend to these people? And this is a really interesting conversation which can be had for many, many hours about the internet, about society, about sociology, about psychology, about so many things. This expands in so many different directions. It's actually very, very interesting. It's an interesting conversation to have because we're living in an unprecedented time of humanity where the world is so connected and we're all kind of unprepared for it, right? It's very, very interesting. I find it super interesting. It's something I've been talking about internally and I would love to talk about more in person. And when I decide to finally come back to public consciousness and do podcasts and that kind of thing, it's something we will be talking about because it's a very, very interesting subject. I'm teaching that it takes tenacity and toughness to become a credible man of merit and value. I think even my hardcore detractors would agree with me. If you're in trouble and you call the police, you want a tenacious, tough man to appear, to help you, to protect you. There's nothing wrong with being a tenacious, ambitious, tough man. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with strength, mental and physical. These things are used to protect people, protect men and women. This is a protective state. You can't protect anything if you're not strong. Strength is a beautiful thing. The world is built on the backs of strong men, and I'm trying to teach men to be strong again because it makes the men feel happier inside, it solves men's mental health, and it also makes the world a genuinely better place. People are taking my lessons and me trying to teach strength and misconstruing them, saying that I'm trying to teach men to be oppressive or aggressive. That's absolutely not the case. And at the same time, they're ignoring my charitable donations to the world. And at the same time, other media creators are rewarded for purporting lies and spinning lies about me. And then at the same time, the media buys into this. And at the same time, we're in the current situation where this entire storm has appeared, where I've genuinely only been a net positive on the world for anyone who's watched my content in all of its long form. When Instagram tells me and confirms to me the number of likes on that post, I'm going to make the donation. As well as that, the future for me, now that I will be a lot more careful and a lot more selective with the social media I'll be producing, if any at all, is I'm going to be starting a foundation, the Tate Foundation, which is going to be dedicated towards charitable acts of both genders. I have been very, very private about certain elements of my personal life, as has my brother. However, my brother has a daughter, and she's beautiful. She's my niece. I don't want her to grow up in a world where women are hated. I don't want her to grow up in a world where men are oppressive and hurting women. Why would I possibly want that? I want her to find a strong man who can protect her, who can provide for her, who can make sure she's safe, but I don't want anything bad to ever happen to her. My own personal circumstances regarding family are something that are once again confidential, but I can confirm to you that the last thing I would ever want is for women to be marginalized in the future, for genuine misogyny or sexism to take hold on the planet. I would completely and utterly be very unhappy with that for my own personal reasons. The Tate Foundation is going to be dedicated towards helping men's mental health and also protecting women from violence against men. You're going to see in the upcoming months and years that I'm not somebody who is doing this just for likes or doing this just for views, that I'm somebody who is doing this because he genuinely has the capability to help people. And I believed I was helping people via social media, And if that's going to be taken away from me, then I will continue my philanthropy in other realms. Please, if you want to have more information, you can go to toughness.com, sign up to the emailing list, and my emailing list is going to start detailing all of my charitable acts from here on out. I'll be spending millions and millions of dollars on charitable acts for the rest of my human life. God has blessed me with fantastic wealth. It's more money than I will ever personally need. I already was doing my philanthropy through encouraging men. And if that's going to be destroyed, then I've decided to start the Tate Foundation and specifically help with financial aid, women, protection from violence primarily. I'm in Romania, which is very close to Ukraine, and there's a lot of problems there with violence against women and women trying to escape the country, and men's mental health issues. And this will all be detailed on my newsletter at cobratate.com, and I encourage people to follow. My other charitable acts are things that I haven't really advertised or talked about. I always felt a bit embarrassed to tell people about the charity I do, because when I do charity, I think it should be from the heart, not for likes. But I understand now that all of the media is saying I'm a bad guy, and I'm not even telling the world all the good I do, because I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think you should just give from the goodness of your heart, not for attention. But that's unfair for people to be saying I'm a bad person when I run a shelter for dogs in Romania because of the stray dog problem, because of the fact that I just recently rebuilt an entire orphanage because there's an orphanage problem in Romania. There'll be a plaque called the Tate Orphanage on this orphanage, and you can see here messages of thank yous from the children and the woman who's running it. I did this months ago before anybody disliked me. I didn't even tell anybody. I just rebuilt an orphanage and didn't use it for positive PR, didn't try and put it on the internet and get a good spin from it, didn't try to get likes. I was just trying to help people. The fact that the only charitable act I've ever advertised was their Instagram post. So I find it very hypocritical when these hate mobs come and say I'm a bad person when I'm the one who's out here spending his money and time trying to help the world. And all they're doing is telling their followers to insult me on my Instagram page. Which one of those two things has a genuinely positive effect on humanity? I'm genuinely not the bad person here. However, I will state again, I do take absolute responsibility because that's who I am as a man. I'm a personal responsibility type of person. And I understand that regardless of the fact I believe it's unfair, I do have a cross to bear because of my monumental success.
I've lived an extreme life, more extreme than most. I've been a multimillionaire. I've been a nobody. I've been famous. I've been a world level athlete. I've started from nothing with a point where I had to run to the gym because I didn't even have a car to get there. I've done it all. So I've lived a very extreme life, and this is where these lessons come from.
To quickly address the rumors that I'm a sex trafficker and that's why I live in Romania. Firstly, that's a very, very racist attitude to have. I find it strange that the left and people who speak and talk about tolerance and inclusivity will assume that Romania as a country will allow me to be a rapist, or that Romania is the kind of place where rape is okay. That's an extremely racist mentality to have. Imagine someone saying that the other way around, that in this country, because it's run by these people, they're inherently bad. That's very unfair on Romania. Romania has been very good to me. It's a great country filled with fantastic people, amazing nature, great food. It's a great place. I live here because I love it. There's no other reason why I live here. They're a European Union nation. They have a strong legal system, just like every other country. And to sit here and say that, oh, Romania is where you can rape people, that's very racist. And I don't understand why nobody is pointing out the fact that anyone who's saying that and believes that is purporting racial stereotypes. That's the first thing. The second thing is, my house was raided by police under accusations that a woman was being held kidnapped. I have spoke about this at length many, many times. I was effectively swatted. I think this happens to all famous people on the internet, where the police is called, happens especially in America. They call the police and say, somebody has got a gun at this address and he's threatening to kill somebody. And the SWAT turn up and it turns out it's fake. It happened to Tim Pool repeatedly. It happened to Aiden Ross just the other day. Being swatted is unfortunately one of the things that happens when you're famous on the internet.
Whatever troll did it, you did it. You officially did it.
Well, we got swatted yesterday. It's so upsetting.
Just right after my mom arrived.
I was swatted. Someone made a call about me, which was fake. The police responded, as they should. I would hate to live in a country where the police get a call that a woman's being held kidnapped, and they don't bother going to look. That's not what a country should do. Absolutely, the Romanian authorities were exceptionally professional. I have nothing but positive things to say about them. They turned up professionally, turned up and investigated as they should. And they found out that it was completely false, that nobody was kidnapped, nobody was held against their will. I was not charged. I was not released on bail. I have no criminal charges in Romania, England, America, any country on the planet. I have no accusations against me for hurting women. And people are still on the internet saying, he's a human trafficker, the Romanian police are trying to get him in trouble for human trafficking. That's not true. That's not what happened. And I've said this many times, but people continue to ignore it and continue to purport the lie, because that's how the internet works, right? They continue to just keep pushing the lie because it gets more clicks, or because they personally don't like me and they want to use it as an excuse to pretend I'm a bad person. I can sit here and be vain and arrogant and say they're jealous of me and my success and they want to find a way to drag me down, but that's beside the point. The actual point is, it's not true. And I was swatted just like anyone else was. And if I had actually hurt anybody, the Romanian police would have me in jail, because they are a nation, a European Union nation, with a strong legal system, and they would lock me up. They have not done that, because I am completely and utterly innocent. They investigated as they should and came to the correct conclusion that there's nobody here and this was a false call. False alarm. It happens to lots of famous people. Happens all the time. The person who made the call about me threw in, instead of saying, I kind of think, if I analyze it, the people who make these police calls, right? The people who do the swatting, it's kind of country specific. In America, they make a call to the police and they say, he has a gun, he has hostages. They can't really say that in Romania because it's very, very unlikely. It's not likely to be taken seriously. So instead, they try and find something the police might believe. Oh, he's an American guy and he has this big house and he has a bunch of women trapped. It's a different story, but it's the same intention, for the police to turn up with guns. And thankfully, thank God, nobody was shot, nobody was hurt. They were very professional, very calm, as was I. Very calm conversations, very kind. Everything was sorted out very quickly. I was taken from my house. They came into my house at 5 p.m. They did a forensic search, as they should. At 8 p.m., the search concluded. They took me from my house at 8 p.m. for paperwork at the police station, and by 9:21, I was back home. And that was the end of it. Nothing's happened since. No woman's come forward. Nobody's hurt. Nothing. So that's completely false. But again, this is taken, it's put in all the news, it's put in all the media. Imagine I was a normal person with a normal job. This should be scary to anybody watching this, that this could happen to you. I'm lucky. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't need a job. I don't need people to like me. I don't need social media. I don't need any of this. I can have my beautiful family, I can have my children, and I can be left alone. But if you're a normal person, you lose your job, you lose your income, you can't walk the street, you can't afford security, you can't afford to move. If this happened to a normal person, their life would be over. It's scary. Okay, it's happened to me and I can deal with it, but it could happen to somebody else. And it's genuinely a scary thought. It's absolutely and utterly not true. I have no criminal charges. There's no charges at all against me. I have not hurt any women. No women are coming forward saying, Andrew hit me. Zero. The only video of me and a woman in consensual acts, she came forward and said it was a game. There's nothing on the internet from any woman saying that Andrew is a bad person, a misogynist, he did this to me. Not one. It's just misunderstood clips on TikTok. It's crazy to me that I've become the face of evil with misunderstood, out of context clips on TikTok with no criminal charges. There are very famous people who have much more. They have genuine criminal charges. There's very famous people who have genuine accusations. They're still on Instagram. I have none of these things. None. I understand that social media companies feel responsible for the national consciousness and the national opinions and actions because of their large levels of influence. However, I don't think it's fair that I'm being vilified and blamed for something that isn't true or wasn't even me. I need to seriously analyze if it's possible for me to even have a social media presence for any longer without it being weaponized and used against me. I would like to think that Instagram have their finger on the pulse of the world and that they're reactive and adaptive regarding how people view certain issues and people. I'd like to think that they're very fair and unbiased and that they understand that in time, when the truth is shown about my positivity and my positive impact on the world, the Tate Foundation, all the amazing things we're going to be doing for men and women, that over time they'll understand that there's no reason for me to not be on a platform. I understand that if I'm going to continue on social media, I need to be a lot more careful with my content. Not because I'm saying bad things, but because I'm saying things that could be used against me. I want to dedicate this YouTube channel, any other remaining social medias I have, my email list, and my Instagram at some point in the future, to the Tate Foundation and speak purely about the positivity I'm doing for the world. Because in the meantime, and at least for the next few months or years, it's going to be very difficult to talk bad about me when people only see the money I'm donating and how I'm helping people. And I don't just give money in a very lazy, charitable way. I get out in my car, I go on the ground, I help people myself.
I drove my Rolls Royce to Ukraine. I bought hundreds of coats and shoes for women and children fleeing the conflict. I didn't film the refugees. I hate when people do that.
So we'll be documenting that. I think that's a good way for people to start to learn about the truth. I'm really relieved this happened. I feel good. I feel happy. I don't think I could have got everybody's attention without this. I don't think I would have had a chance to make a clean break and a clean start and explain the truth of my character and my heart without this. I think that if I was never banned, I would have keep trying to tell the truth, and my haters would have kept ignoring it and kept making negative videos about me, and it would have spiraled out of control until someone in my family was hurt or an attempt was made on my life. Any of my serious fans who have watched all my content know that I've had attempts on my life before, way before YouTube, 10 or 15 years ago. It's something I intimately understand, life and death. And it's not something I wish to revisit. I feel the hate around me was being accelerated to a point of danger for myself and my loved ones. So I'm very glad this happened because I feel like I now have a chance to tell the truth. And I also feel like the social media companies are very understanding of their responsibilities and will always reflect national consciousness. And as people understand the truth about me and my heart, their opinions about me will change also. You know, the Bible is full of redemption stories. So are superhero movies, right? The guy starts off bad and then turns good. Or the guy that you think is a bad guy turns out to be a good guy with good intentions all along. He was just misunderstood. I feel like the human psyche is very intrinsically understanding of these narratives and stories. I think people understand a redemption arc. They can understand when they retrospectively look back on certain events or actions or words, and with their new understanding of his actual intentions, everything looks different. They look back and go, oh, now I know who he truly is. I understand what he meant by that. Now I know who he truly is. I understand why that was said. And everything changes. I truly believe that this is a chance for me to move my social media purely to my charitable acts. Even if my Instagram is reinstated, it's only going to be about the Tate Foundation. There'll be no pictures of Bugattis anymore. Sorry, gentlemen. And it allows me to conduct my philanthropy in the physical world as opposed to so much in the digital world trying to inspire men. It's an avenue change. It's a life path change that God has chosen for me. And I'm happy with that. I really am not the type of person to take these things personally. I don't take any of these decisions personally. I'm a very logical man. I'm very good at seeing both sides of the argument. I understand the situation I'm in intimately. I completely understand all points of view. And this redemption arc, this chance to tell the world the truth about me and focus on showing the good that I have already been doing before these bans, when I didn't want likes, when I didn't want clicks, and also undoing all the negative narratives which I've allowed to spiral out of control because I trusted in people to do their own research and come to their own truthful conclusions. I realize now that this is a fantastic chance for me. It's a massive opportunity. I'm still going to tell the truth about who I am, about what I believe, about how I believe a man should act. I'm still going to tell people and inspire people to stay away from low quality people.
If you're struggling to find quality men to be friends with, maybe you're not a quality man. Every relationship in the world, including friendships, are mutual. Because if you're a quality person, you meet quality people, male and female. That's how it goes.
I never would only talk negatively about women. I talked negatively about men all the time. I told people, don't have friends who just smoke drugs and play video games. You need friends who are going to inspire you to push yourself to be the best man you can. I'm a massive anti-drug advocate. The worst experiences in my life revolved around other people either taking or selling drugs and trying to hurt me because of it. I've never taken drugs in my life. I've never even tried cocaine, never tried a single smoke of weed in my life ever. I'm massively anti-drugs. But when I do videos saying to men, avoid men who take drugs, avoid men who are disloyal, nobody comments on it. But if I say avoid having a girlfriend who takes drugs, avoid having a girlfriend who's disloyal, people call me a misogynist. It's not about gender. I'm just trying to teach people to stay away from low-quality, toxic people and just try and elevate themselves and create their reality to be around high-quality people and positive people, male or female. There's no gender associated. It's only the fact that the media, these people chopping my videos up, whoever they are, taking it out of context and only focusing on the times women were mentioned, which is a very small percentage, 2 or 3% of my overall content. And ignoring all the time I said the exact same thing about men or the times I loved women and purporting this view. And I feel like this ban is the hard reset I needed to tell the truth. So for that, I'm thankful. I'm very, very thankful for that. What's next for Top G? Well, as I've said, I have built my dream life. I have everything I've ever wanted. I've done that with the tenets that I've been teaching the people who follow me. I've been teaching you the mental fortitude you need to truly have your dream life. I was talking to Aiden Ross on his stream and he said, have you completed the game? And I guess in a way I have.
And do you feel like you've beaten the game?
No, I've hacked the Matrix and completely beaten the games. I have everything I've ever wanted. I don't need anything else. All that's left for me to do is have a positive impact on the world. I don't think anybody truly wants to go down as a villain. Maybe some people do. I don't. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised to stick up for myself, to be strong, to be commanding, but I was raised to do the right thing. And that's why, as I stated, I have no criminal record. I stay away from drugs. There's a lot of people on social medias with large criminal records who advocate drug use. I think that's far more dangerous for society than me. And once again, they have absolute exposure to the world. I want to run the Tate Foundation, and I would love to do it without any social media. I will be detailing on my email list all of my charitable donations, all of the orphanages I'll be building, pictures, financial evidence, receipts. Please go to covertate.com and sign up to the newsletter. It's free, and I'll be letting people know the positive impact I'm going to be having on the world. The fame I've amassed has also managed to help me amass hundreds of millions of dollars, and I don't need all of it. So I'm going to use it for positive causes. In regards to social media, I need to sit and think and work out a way that not a single snippet of my words can ever be used against me. And even though I consider myself a wordsmith, that is a very, very difficult objective to complete. And I'm going to think about how I could possibly do that. So while I'm thinking, any remaining social media channels will be dedicated towards charity. If I start a new Instagram, it's only going to be dedicated towards the charitable side of the Tate Foundation. I hold no ill will against any social media platforms. I hold no ill will against any of the people who hate me or who have tried to spread lies about me. I truly pray for you all. I think that to be a person filled with so much hate that you think making videos insulting a man and encouraging your viewers to go and insult him and his deceased father and his family members, I think that is a horrible way to live. I would never want to experience that level of hate in my heart. The people who are making endless videos celebrating my ban or talking hate about me, that hate is never going to satisfy you. You need to learn to let go and live with a heart filled with love. You need to be content with yourself, because if you're obsessed with trying to hate on another person, the poison's inside of you. It's not inside of me. It doesn't affect me as much as it affects you. You can't feel hatred for somebody without it affecting your mood. So this is something for you guys to address, and I genuinely pray for you. I have no ill will against any of my haters. I have no ill will against any social media companies. I have no ill will against anybody. To follow me and keep up with me, please sign up to the newsletter on cobratate.com. Anybody who would like to send me a message of support, I've already had hundreds of thousands already. Thank you guys so much. It's very reassuring to me in times like this to hear from all of you, letting me know that I saved you from depression, that I helped you feel better about yourselves. I'm the reason your marriage is working. I inspired you to send your son to the gym. I love hearing these things. And you can send me an email at the email address below, tate@cobratate.com. Please send it to me. I really love hearing these things. And knowing I had such a positive impact on the world is what's allowed me to ignore so much of this hate storm that's been purported. My social media presence is something that, if it remains, will be curated in a way that it's nearly impossible to be seen as a negative for the world. I'm a force for positivity and I'm a force for truth. This is the truth of my nature and the truth of my name. Anybody who wants comment or to reach out to me, you can find ways to do that. Any media organizations who would like to speak to me, you can do that through, there's various PR companies who want to represent me. There'll be ways of contacting me. But I just want the world to know, in my final statement, that if you're a supporter of mine, and I know most of you are, please explain the truth in a respectful manner. Telling these hate-filled people that they're wrong and calling them names won't help. These people are not happy people, because happy people don't act that way. Tell them the truth. Show them that the content is out of context. Show them the long format content. Say all the ways I've helped you. And I really believe by being a genuinely professional, logical, positive person, you guys can change public consciousness for me. And time is a beautiful thing. It's amazing how things change with time. And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my fantastic life, which I've managed to build with all of the tenacity and mental strength that I try and teach my fans. You know how to reach me. And I'll finish with a quote from my late father. My unmatched perspicacity, coupled with sheer indefatigability, makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor.